And it is K-Boy 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock. I am Dave Lawrence, and I am grateful that you listen to my show. Today I have a real treat for you, and it is my way of saying thanks for listening to the show. Last Friday, a week ago, I was fortunate enough to have the great Neal Schon of Journey call in, and he was my guest right here on the air, a tremendous guest. And then on Saturday night, before their show at the Blaisdell that 105.9 was proudly part of, Neal again took time to speak with me backstage at the historic Blaisdell Arena. And he also spent time after the show with Dara and Stuart, our contest winners, and myself. He was very accessible. And he turned out to be one of the most down-to-earth rock dudes I've met in a while. And he's gone a step beyond the usual experience with interviews. And that'll be what we have today here for you. And I thank you for being tuned in, because I doubt you will soon forget what we have right now. A big mahalo for being part of this. We've had a lot of surprises on the show. Listeners calling us, letting us know that The Who were coming, that Yes was coming. Carmine Appice has called in and then suddenly put Spencer Davis on the air with me with no warning at all, and I just had to do it. He's done that with Pat Travers, and now I get to do my own little surprise. So when I say that Neal Schon of Journey has gone beyond what the usual artist would do, I mean that. He and I had a few conversations over this past week, and we both realized that we wanted to thank our fans with something special. He's that kind of guy. And so rather than play my backstage interview that we taped last Saturday at the Blaisdell, Neal agreed to be my very special guest in the studio here at K-Boy 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock, where I am proud to bring you my little surprise treat on this Friday at 5. Journey's Neal Schon. Aloha, Neal.
How you doing, Dave?
It's great to have you here, and I thank you for playing along and being willing to do this with me.
What a build-up. What can follow that?
Well, us talking, I guess. But it was just Neal and I realized, we could play the tape, but Neal was going to be around, and Neal was into the station, and Neal's very into being here in Honolulu. So a huge mahalo, brother.
Thank you.
It's a treat. And while I have you in the studio here in the market that everyone is raves about Journey and has since I got here, I did not ask you this at the Blaisdell when we were hanging out before the show. But what would be your first memory of the state? It can just be, it doesn't have to be a musically oriented memory, but your first Hawaii memory. Well,
the first Hawaii memory that I do have is the Otani Mansion. And I was staying there with the band Santana, I believe in 1970. When we played, it was either 70 or 71. And I just remember, sitting out on the balcony, looking out at the ocean, going, wow, this is way better than high school.
And you were, like, really young, for right? How old
I
were
was
you?
like 15, yeah.
How did you get into that band at such a young age?
I have no idea. I was very adamant about getting out in the world and having people hearing my playing. And so I had met some friends in San Francisco and down in the peninsula where I lived at the time, and met a lot of the club owners. And even though I was very much underage, they agreed to let me come in and sit in with a lot of bigger artists. And, they'd hide me downstairs, and then I'd come on the stage and, jam with Elvin Bishop or B.B. King, and then I'd have to go back downstage and out the back door so they wouldn't lose liquor licenses and things like that.
And you were younger than 15 doing that stuff.
Yeah, I was probably, 14.
14, yeah. Sitting in with B.B. King.
That was the first big show that I played at the Fillmore in San Francisco, was with B.B. King, and Elvin Bishop introduced me to him.
Dude, that's pretty sick. And you were 14, is that what you just said?
Yeah, I was pretty much weaned on his music too. I listened to a lot of blues, B.B. and Albert King and Albert Collins, and then I had listened to all the English guys, Clapton and Beck and Page and Jimmy, even though he wasn't English, he was
he broke there first.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're listening to that stuff. We have a background on Neal that we've never heard before. I've never heard before. So you're 15. You come out here, and your first gig in Honolulu was where did they put you up again?
We stayed at this place that was called the Otani Mansion, and it's on your way up towards Diamond Head Crater.
Okay.
And now it apparently was burnt down about 20 years ago. And now it's just an open grass field there. Nobody's ever built there again. But what an amazing house it was. We were set up in there. We all had our little, cottages that we were staying in. And then the middle of the house, we cleaned out all the furniture, and we set up to rehearse in there. So, we had a built-in cook. It was pretty much, beyond 5-star treatment. And for me, it was just off the hook because I was used to eating at Denny's every day. I was happy to get a cheeseburger, you know.
That is outrageous. And to be, I mean, so young, too, man. I mean, you must have been so impressionable to be seeing all this stuff around you, like.
It was a mind-boggling experience, especially from my age. You know, like I said, I came out of high school, and all of a sudden I was all over Europe with one of the world's biggest bands. And, you know, I was in Ghana, Africa. I was in Peru, Lima, Peru, and you know, just all over the world. And it was such an amazing education, you know, just to meet people from the different cultures and be able to play music for them. And then in return, like when we were in Ghana, Africa, they gave us a concert, you know, which was completely amazing and just stuck in my mind and heart forever. I mean, you know, we did a show down there called Soul to Soul. And
oh,
I know
yeah.
that there's a movie that they're thinking about re-releasing it again.
It is out now. It's just been put on DVD.
I've been working so hard. I haven't.
Do you
noticed.
need that? I can get you that. I
Yeah,
got that one.
I'm actually in that. I'm wearing some stupid shirts too that says, it looks like it says Coca-Cola, but it says cocaine. That's how young I was. I thought it was really hip to do that. But anyway, we got really rained out. I remember the night before the show, they had no awning or anything over the stage, and this huge storm came in, and so it blasted all the equipment. They didn't have covers for the equipment, and I remember my manager, that became my manager later in Journey, Herbie Herbert, was my guitar tech at the time, and Carlos's guitar tech, and he was out there. They got up like some ungodly hour, like 3 a.m, to go out there and blow dry the speakers with a blow dryer.
Wow.
And so they're just like, you know, trying to get all the moisture and everything out of all the amplifiers so they would work, and they ended up working. We played the show, and then a night after the show, you know, they gave us a concert.
Like a thank you kind of thing?
Yeah, like the locals. They gave us a concert, and it was all on like, you know, hollowed out logs and telephone poles and trees, and it was amazing. I mean, it was completely organic, but it sounded like Sly Stone. It was so funky. It was sick.
And what's really special too is Santana itself is a very perhaps the most multicultural rock band.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they make a great ambassador sort of to go somewhere because they're picking up so many styles.
I think it was the reason that he is still so world, you know, wide, and everybody loves him all over the world. It's like a melting pot, you know, of all kinds of music stuck in one. It's the Cajun soup. It's the kind.
Yeah, it is the kind. And when you were when you look at the Santana band, and we did at the Blaze. So this is Neal Schon again, and this is instead of our backstage Blaisdell rap, this is actually live in the studio here at K-Boy 105.9. What was the different elements like? I know Santana was like the Santana Blues Band, and it had like Afro-Cuban rhythms, it had psychedelia. What did you see as what you brought to the Santana sound?
Well, I was an electric blues guitar player. You know, I knew nothing about Latin music when I joined that band, and I think I was bringing in an area that Greg Raleigh and a lot of the other band members wanted to go in. I'm not so sure Carlos was so sure about it in the very beginning, but I think that he liked what he heard after we had completed the Santana 3 album. I mean, it was, you know, I brought in a bit more rock into the band, which, like I said, that's where Greg wanted to go. That's where he expressed to me that he wanted to go. They already had the Latin fusion thing going on, and you know, all kinds of, you know, African rhythms, and that whole thing was already happening for them. And he wanted to bring in a little more of a rock element, and I think that I helped do that, you know, with the band.
And you say Greg, like Greg Raleigh. Now, was he, when you joined, what's your relationship to Greg prior to joining the band?
Well, Greg took me under his wing. You know, he was one of the first members that I hung out with from the Santana band. You know, used to come up and pick me up at high school, and I'd, you know, ditch classes and go play guitar all day with him.
Did you finish high school, dude?
I never finished, no.
What year did you split high school?
Oh my God, it was in 1970.
I mean, what freshman, sophomore?
I was the middle of my sophomore year.
and you just said, "Now I'm going to go be in Santana"?
Well, you know, you put it on a weighing scale and you go, Santana or high school? I just went, you know, this is what I really wanted to do. I wanted to play music. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life, and it was too good of an opportunity to turn down.
And when you were doing those early tours, and like you guys came here, was Carlos like really into playing here in Hawaii too?
Everybody was, absolutely. I mean, I remember that they used to take the drums, just the conga drums, and go out on Honolulu out here by the beach and just start playing rhythms.
Like
you know, Michael
Park.
Caraballo and Chapito Arez would go out there, and it would just be, you know, like 200 people would start surrounding the drums. It was just, you know, it's like meant to be.
Like that place, Aquatic Park, and that Carlos always talks about in San Francisco,
right
there by Fisherman's Wharf. And I asked you about Greg because you went on, and it was when you went to form Santana. Form Journey. It was you and Greg basically. And what you went out together from Santana to do that?
No, we didn't actually. You know, we had both quit at the same time. You know, there was so many different musical, you know, avenues that everybody wanted to go. That was the biggest problem with the band splitting at that point. Plus, there was a lot of drug issues, you know, and you know, it was just time to let it go and see where everybody ended up. And I got approached by Herbie Herbert, who I mentioned before, who was my roadie, that he wanted to be my manager and he wanted to form a band around myself. And so I said, sure, fine. And then he brought in, you know, Ross Valerie to me, and Prairie Prince from the Tubes, the drummer from the Tubes. George Tickner was a guy at the time that was writing some very cool music. I thought that you know, my guitar playing would sound good on. He used a lot of different types of tunings and playing with his thumb, and you know, just kind of weird chords that I've never seen before. And that was the early journey there then. And then Greg was actually the last guy brought in. You know, we needed a vocalist, and I thought I wanted a keyboard player, and you know, everybody thought Greg would be perfect. And so there we were formed, and you know, as you know, we played our first show was New Year's Eve at Winterland in San Francisco, and then the next day was the Crater Festival.
And that was probably your third Crater at that point, because you had done like a couple with Santana.
Done a couple with Santana, yeah. So it was the first time for Journey, yeah.
Amazing. And I talk about Greg because I wanted to get on a classic Journey song, a pair of songs put together that feature Greg, and then we'll come back and talk some more. Is that cool?
Awesome.
And Neal is also today, we're going to be digging into some very special music, some Soul Circus, which is Neal's side project, and even his instrumental record that he is going to be putting out on Steve Vai's label. So we have some real treats in store this afternoon.
I Own You. That's the Vai record.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that. I'm glad that you got that here, too, for us to be able to enjoy. We have classic Journey now, and then we'll return. It's Neal Schon from the band. He's my surprise live in-studio guest this Friday. He's a very good sport for doing this with us, and instead of running the backstage interview, Neal agreed to come and hang out here, and it's time for Feeling That Way anytime. K-Poi, 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Journey. Journey, K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock, and it is Dave Lawrence doing the work for us afternoon. My very special guest in the studio, the great Neal Schon of Journey.
How you doing, Dave?
Very
You're hanging
good.
in there, right?
Yes, I am.
There you go.
It's great to have you here, dude. You're the most accessible dude that I've had on my show in a while. And I asked Neal if we could take a couple of calls because I wanted folks to be part of this. And Neal's just that accessible of a guy, so we are going to dial up the phone and see what we got here on the 296-1059 line. Aloha, you're on the air with us here.
Aloha.
How you doing? Is this Barry?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Barry. Welcome to the show, and say hi to Neal Schon of Journey.
Aloha, Neal.
How you doing, Barry?
I'm doing good. I want to tell you this is a privilege to be able to speak to you like this. I've been a fan of yours and a fan of Journey since...
Hey, lower your radio, Barry.
Okay, hold on just a minute.
Little radio etiquette, little radio 101, so we don't have any feedback. You still with us, though, right, Barry?
He's coming back.
He's coming back. And
He's coming back. He had to go across the room.
Adjust his stereo system that he's been rocking. This is Neal Schon of Journey. He is our in-studio guest here. It's a very special thing. And we're very lucky to have had him come down today and be part of the show live and in studio instead of running a tape thing. Barry, you still there? I wonder where Barry went.
Hello?
There you are.
Okay, here. Oh,
Right.
I
So
thought I lost you guys.
yeah, you didn't lose us. So what do you have to say for Neal? You have any questions for brother Neal?
Neal, when's the next Journey album coming out?
You know what, Barry? We're currently, on vacation right now, and we're going to get together around the 10th of this next month. And, we've all been writing throughout the summer while we've been on tour this year, and we've compiled quite a bit of material that sounds, very good and sounds like it's going to make a very good record. And so on the 10th, everybody's flying out. Steve lives in New York and Dean is in Oregon, and they're flying in, and we'll be together for about a week and a half, just arranging the ideas and making it more of a journey thing. Everybody's been sort of writing on their own. And that's it. We'll arrange the stuff and finish writing it, and then we're going to go in the studio and just knock it out like the old days.
Well, that sounds great. I just want to say, you're an extraordinary guitar player. And like I said, I've been a fan of yours and a Journey fan since the Escape album. I saw you guys here many times, the Escape tour, the Frontiers tour. I even met you down at a club, the pre-concert party one night. It was off Macaulay Street. I forgot what it was, and you were there for the pre-concert party.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Barry.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. This is really a privilege.
No problem. Thank you.
Keep the journey going, buddy.
We will.
Thanks for listening, Barry. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. Aloha.
Aloha.
And we'll take some more calls with Journey. I do have some commercials because we are a commercial radio station. I want to make sure all these people feel good about their stuff. And we'll come back with Neal. We'll take some more calls. And best of all, Neal has been a gentleman and brought with us his Soul Circus side project, which, has this been on the radio places before?
No. No,
Never?
not that I know of. There's possibly one station in the East Coast that my road manager gave to them, and they're doing a test on it right now, and they're playing it. But this will be the first as far as I know.
That's major. Love it right here in Honolulu on KPOI 105.9 The Big Kahuna. Don't go anywhere. It's Neal Schon of Journey in the studio with us.
Have you been thinking about painting your...
Help you get more money for your house and more house for your money. To find out what we can do for you, visit us at coldwellbankerpacific.com.
And it is KPOI 105.9 The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock workforce afternoon, 5:34 on a Friday that I was going to play the pre-taped backstage interview with Neal, but Neal is the man, and we were like, you know what? It'll be fun to do this live on Friday.
Hey, you guys are feeding me. You got great company here. What more could a guy ask for?
I knew you would dig it, man. I knew that. I had the feeling that I could set it up right. I'd done this a few times in Boston. I was like, we'll make Neal feel good
A little
here.
hometown hospitality. There you go.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And so we have a couple people here in the queue, and we're going to let some people talk to Neal. Let's see what we got here. Hey, you're on the air here on KPOI 105.9. What's your name?
All right, William. I'm Waikiki.
William in Waikiki. William, say hi to Neal Schon.
Neal Schon, what is going on, my brother?
How you doing, William?
I'm doing great, man. What an honor. You wake up in Waikiki and you're speaking to Neal Schon. That's right.
You got any questions for Neal?
I do. I have a twofold question. First of all, I saw the show, and I'm 45 years old, and I'm living the dream here like Tom Selleck. It's great.
Uh-huh.
But I talked to a lot of young kids today, and they say they listen to the classic rock, and I wonder if y'all get that a lot. But back in the day before Greg Raleigh left, I noticed the music was a little more alternative. It seemed like, I'm not going to say darker, but it was, the direction y'all were taking was it was a more alternative sound. And then when Steve came on, it went to a more still hard, but like a pop sound. Was that a mutual decision, or did everyone say we need to go in this direction, or was...
You know what? It was sort of a natural direction that we went in because it's where Perry lived, in his own mind, in his heart, and we sort of wrapped ourselves around him, at that point, and took it in a completely new direction. Definitely, we were in, a more alternative and I don't like to say darker, but it was a bit darker when I go back and listen to the stuff. But
yeah, I love the sound. It was like, the songs that said silly humans, they take 5 minutes to think, and all this. It was a wonderful sound, but then I wonder why they all didn't mix it up, or was there like a splash between the two? Is that why Greg left, or what was happening?
Greg left, basically. It wasn't for musical differences. He had just had it, and he had been on tour much longer than myself or anyone else. I mean, he'd been out with Santana for years and traveled the world year
Right.
after year. And I think he was ready to settle down and have a family, and he just wanted to sit at home for a second, and that's real.
He actually sang "Evil Woman" in the original Santanas, right?
Evil Ways.
Oh my, Evil Ways, right? My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. But I grew up in Memphis, and I saw y'all many times in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm sure you probably remember playing there. And what a journey it's been. I mean, y'all got new stuff coming out then, huh?
Yeah, we have some new stuff coming out. Hopefully, for this next summer tour. After the first of the year, we should pretty much have everything.
One last question. On your strings, super slinky, what gauge?
You know what? I move them around depending on what kind of guitar I'm playing, because the different scale, lengths and stuff like that. Sometimes I use 10s. Depending if I'm playing acoustic guitar, I'll use 11s
right.
or 12s. Heavier gauges.
Education on guitar? Is it just something you know now, or
say that again?
Do you do continuing education with the guitar? Or is there do you know it all, the scales now?
No, you know what? Guitar is never-ending education. If you're really into it, there's no way you can possibly know everything about it.
Wow.
That's what's so cool about the instrument is the more you dig in, the more you learn. You can take it somewhere else.
Man, I really thank you for answering that, because I was a big fan before Steve and a big fan after. In fact, I got a poster, you might remember, right when Steve came in. Y'all were sitting around a table with a bunch of Budweisers. Remember that first?
Yeah, actually, that's a really funny story that you're telling there, because we were actually the first band ever to be sponsored by a company, period.
I know.
And we got raked over the coals in the Rolling Stone for it, because they called us corporate rock.
I remember that.
And now if you don't have a sponsor, everybody thinks that you're a loser.
I know.
And so we paved the way in so many ways with sponsors and with the video screens and everything else. I think we did a lot of really cutting edge stuff.
All right, well, William, we appreciate having you on. We got to let some other people talk to Neal, because there's a lot of folks out there. We thank you very much, dude, for listening to the show. Hey, you're on with Neal. It's K-Boy 105.9. What's your name?
Andrea.
Hey, Andrea, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from my car.
Dig that. And what part of the island are you on with your car?
Kapiolani, Waikiki.
Dig it. And what's your question for Brother Neal?
Actually, I don't have a question. I have an offer. I was expecting to provide some massage to the crew and perhaps even the band during their recent visit. They were the first band I ever saw in 1981 or 82 when I was 16 years old, and if anyone is still in town, they're more than welcome to come by, and I would love to give them some work.
Wow. Thank you, Andrea.
Well, Neal's blushing. Thanks, Andrea. We appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's very kind of you. Big aloha.
Big aloha to you. You take care. Aloha. Thanks, Neal.
You're welcome.
That's very cool.
I should be saying thanks.
That was very generous of her. And so one of the great things that through talking with Neal, as you may have heard from some of these people on the phone, again, this is Neal Schon of Journey. He is in the studio here at K-Poi 105.9 The Big Kahuna. He's on the Workforce Afternoon. He is my exclusive guest and a prince for doing this. We've talked a little bit through our conversations about the Soul Circus project.
Right. This is a new band that I put together. It's sort of the aftermath of something I started out about a little over a year ago with Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony from Van Halen. And then later on, Joe Satriani got into the picture, and then all of a sudden, Van Halen took off on tour, and I was left with all this material I had written. And so I was looking for a new avenue to get out the material, because I really felt it was not Journey material. A bit harder edged, and you'll know when you hear the song. It's melodic, but not heavy metal, but harder edged.
And this is a band that comes on the heels of the Planet Us project.
Right, it's sort of out of the ashes of that kind of blew up. This is on the heels of that, and we've got a website right now. We've had over about 500,000 hits on our website. Our record's getting ready to come out on December 7th. And we're being distributed by Warner Brothers, which is really interesting, because that's Van Halen's label.
Yeah.
And so they think there's some fire going here, obviously, to get involved with us. And what they're doing right now is they're taking orders. We've had so many orders, pre-orders on our website. If you go to www.soulcircus.com, you can go on there and order directly from the Warner Brothers store, and they will ship to anywhere in the world. And that's how we're starting out here immediately, because we had so many pre-orders. They're completely happy just to do that. And then they're later going to get it, put out in stores. And, I might be going on this European tour in, February and March.
With the Lizzie?
We're talking about it. We just started talking about it today, but it sounds like a pretty happening tour that we could cover a lot of grounds and really get over there like I wanted to. And, hopefully, Warner Brothers will supply the stores in the cities that we're playing at that point.
And that's what we had talked about when you were on the phone last week, is that a lot of the times it makes sense to go to Europe and sort of get things rolling there.
Well, if you go on our website, you can hear MP3s of all 11 tracks that are on the record. It's like an old-style, long-play record. I don't want to say old. It doesn't sound old. It's definitely rocking like a big dog.
Who else is in the band? Give the lineup before we play the song.
You have Dean Casanova, who was a drummer that you just saw here play with me in Journey.
Monster.
And he's a lead singer as well. You have Marco Mendoza on bass, who is an absolutely incredible bass player and a lead singer as well. And he's out with Whitesnake right now. And Jeff Scott Soto is, the unheard vocalist that everybody's going to know about, and that everybody's been finding out about for about the last 5 years. In Europe, he's been working that market, and that's how I really found out about this guy. Was reading some, just reading news on some of the rock, websites, like, and his name kept on coming up, and people were just raving about his live shows, just saying that this guy has got it for real.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I saw him because he was with Yngwie a long time ago.
That was like his first gig that he had, years ago. And so I went down, took the initiative to go down and meet him at the NAMM show this last year in LA, and we got together and we jammed at the Gibson party, and the party just, everybody freaked out in the place. We did some Zeppelin, we did some Stevie Wonder, we did some Journey tunes, because we really didn't have time to rehearse anything. Sure. And it just completely came off. And so I just started sending him MP3s, over the internet. He'd send me a song back a day, all finished lyrics, everything, and I was just pretty amazed by his ability just to read my mind without me giving him any direction at all.
And interact with you like that.
Yeah, and then we went in and we cut the record in 2 days. There's 11 tracks on the record, and they were all first takes. I know that's hard to believe, but we cut 5 tracks on the first day. The second day, we cut 6 tracks, and they were all first takes. And so we were in and out before you knew it. I mean, the thing that took the longest for me to do was writing a lot of the music. I spent a month in my house by myself with a little recorder and just laying down idea after idea. And then, I sent Jeff probably a compilation of about 25, songs without lyrics and without, melody ideas on there. And he just picked the ones he liked and wrote them and finished writing them and sent them back. So really, I discovered that I had a real chemistry with this guy as far as writing and getting things done really fast.
And they're all first takes, Neal?
Yeah.
So the one what's the song that we have here?
This is called New Position.
New Position. And this is Soul Circus, and this is its first time ever on the radio, probably, period. There's one other station you said you sent this to?
Possibly in Philadelphia, yeah.
What station is that in Philadelphia?
I really don't know. A friend of mine, Aaron Dilks, that you met, the big guy with the tats, he lives there, and he had some program director that was going to run a test on it and see what the phones were like on the song itself.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Something position? What's it called again?
New Position.
New Position. This is it. Debuting here in Honolulu and in most of the country, at least. This is Neal's band Soul Circus on KPOI 105.9 The Big Kahuna. It's a current classic. Nice. That is some tasty vittles right there. New Position from Soul Circus. KPOI 105.9 The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock. And that is Neal Schon of Journey's side project band, with also Dean Casanova, the drummer from Journey as well in the band, and burning stuff, dude.
That's one of the more straightforward tunes on the record, and Four on the Floor, and we've got a lot of real cool experimental stuff on the rest of the record, but really, I really feel like we don't have one song that's a dog on the record, and there's some great ballads too.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. There's a lot of different tempo changes.
He's got Jeff's voice, he's got a lot of diversity to his voice, as much as we do as musicians, I think, that we can play a lot of different styles.
Now that's happening. And what's you said December 7th? Is that what
December 7th, yeah. So, if you go to the website right now, Soul Circus, SARKUS.com, you can pre-order right now. And if you're the first of
1,000 people.
1,000 people, you get a signed,
I was there last night checking it out.
Okay. He knows better than me.
Yeah, it said first 1,000 people would get a signed copy. But according to the site, it says you're way past the first 1,000.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's what it said on there. And so that's very cool. That's Soul Circus, and it's a current classic, and we will continue to have that here for airplay on the station. And Neal and I were talking while we were playing that. It'd be nice to get them out here, and potentially we will try to get the Soul Circus band out.
Yeah, the ultimate thing for me to do would to come here and play Hawaii, as our first market. Much like Journey did.
I'd
we
love
played
that.
San Francisco before here, but you were the second market. And we'd love to hang out here for a week and pack a club out for a week straight and just build an audience for ourselves so we can come here and play at the Blaisdell Center.
Nice. I love the whole plan of it. It all works for me. I'd love to have that debut. I'll be making that my business to have that. And I bet we'll pull it off, too. I do want to throw a couple plugs out right in the middle of this thing, Neal, because as Neal knows, a lot of people made this happen for me today. I didn't just pull this off by myself. My good buddy Chocolate Mike and the Green Limousine were really instrumental. McKelly Tours. Did you have a good ride over in the Green Limo?
Yeah.
Is a good guy, man.
Yeah,
he really
good.
hooked us up. Oahu's finest sightseeing tours and golf charters, 223-7963, 223-7963, and we owe Mike a lot. McKelly Tours, and I have that information in the studio, and I will plug them later. My good friend Rob at Cha Cha Cha, the Mexican Caribbean restaurant in Waikiki on Seaside between Kalakaua and Kuhio, opening at 11:30 a.m. daily for lunch. He brought some tasty chow. Have you enjoyed the...
I loved it.
The best salsa in the world, man.
Hot.
It is, but I've been on this guy since I got here to try to get him to bottle it. Maybe with your help, we can do that.
What are the little, the little bottles out there, the super hot stuff?
That's stuff.
Like if you think Tabasco is hot, this is like 250 times hotter than that. And tell me some of the names of these bottles. They were hilarious.
It was like something with I didn't actually look at all those little ones. It's like the Osama bin Laden name. Somebody bring me the little bottles. Chocolate Mike, bring those in here. Here, Neal, read these things off. You can give them to Neal. Let him read them.
No, you go ahead.
You want me to? Oh, you don't. That's right. You're funny. Burn in Hell Osama. That's one of them. Pure Evil Hot Sauce. Another one is Megasaurus Jurassic Hot Sauce. These are really, really cool ones.
They're
Rob,
really great labels too. I mean, you got to market this stuff and stick them in stores, man.
Rob is the man, and he really does know how to hook it up over there at Cha Cha Cha. I also got to thank Bear, my security guard buddy, who guards the artists backstage at the Blaisdell. I just thought, well, we might as well bring one of the people who was guarding you from Saturday, just to keep an eye on things here. And of course, Brother Ed Kanoy from the morning show, our AM drive guy. If it wasn't for Brother Ed, I could never have pulled this off. He was a valuable assistance and company for you in the limo on the way back. And Janet, my business manager and buddy and resident photographer, for taking care of stuff. And last but not least, Carter Allen of Current Classics, who was the guy who first hooked me up with your people to make all this happen. We have a couple of words that I want to get on, and then we'll come back and wrap it up with Neal. I don't believe an entire hour has gone by. That is probably the fastest hour of my life, getting to do this with you.
We've got something else to play here.
We have a real treat we're going to wrap. It'll be like our encore, so to speak, huh, Neal?
Well, it's sort of apropos to have Soul Circus come first because this record is actually coming out in February on Steve Vai's label, and it's called Eye on You, and it's on Favored Nations, and he told me sometime in February.
Nice. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit more, and we will debut that here on the air. K-Poi 105.9 The Big Kahuna. It's Neal Schon of Journey live in the studio. We're listening. And it is K-Poi 105.9 The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock, and the Workforce Afternoon. A very, very special Workforce Afternoon. Make sure that my thing is rolling here. Hang on, Neal. We got to make sure that we're documenting what we're doing properly. Which we are. And this is a very special show. I had talked to Neal backstage at the thing and at the Journey show before the concert, and we had intended on we did do a nice backstage interview. It was a lot of fun. We talked about some good stuff, but we thought it would be a little cooler to do this thing live here today, and I really appreciate you being willing to come down, man.
You're completely welcome. I was happy to come down here.
It's been a really great experience to get to do this with you, dude. And when we were talking last week, the very final thing that we were talking about last Friday when you were on the air was this solo. It was an all-instrumental record?
It's an all-instrumental record, yeah. That, I have done quite a few of them now at this point. And it was basically, I was on this little indie label called Higher Octave. And, you know, I made a very successful record for them, the first record I made, and they wanted me to keep on making the same record over and over, and I didn't want to do that. You know, I mean, I'm like, why repeat myself twice and make exactly the same record just because they sold a lot of records? So every record I sort of took it a little more outside, and this one is definitely, you know, it's just as outside as, you know, it's not quite as outside as I wanted to be because I was thinking about them the whole time, but I didn't know it was going to be on the shelf for close to 3 years. I mean, I finished the thing just this last year. I went to Nashville and I recorded 3 new tracks on the record just to fill it out a little bit and help it work better in the genre with the rest of the musicians that Steve Vai has on his label. A little more ripping guitar and, you know, a lot of but it's very melodic, it's very electronica, and it sounds, you know, modern.
Who's backing you up? Who's the other players?
Well, there's the main guy that I wrote all the material with, his name is Igor Lin, and he is a Russian guy that works actually for the Roland Corporation, and I met him through some friends, and he's pretty much of an amazing keyboard player. Reminded me of a lot. He had the same lot of background as Jan Hammer that I had worked with before, and Jeff Beck. And, you know, he laid a lot of this foundation, and then I sort of tweaked it and wrote melodies with him, and we basically wrote pretty much the whole thing 50-50, and then there's a few tracks that I wrote by myself. But this track that we're about to play here is the title track off the record, I On You.
And, okay, Eye on You, and it's going to be Neal Schon, and it's going to come out, you think, what did he say?
He said sometime in February, so probably the middle of February is safe to say.
And this is making its debut, too? Has this been on the air anywhere else?
No.
Never, anywhere.
You guys are getting loaded up with new juices today.
World premiere of it here. Solo Neal Schon, K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock. K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock, solo Neal Schon. And I'm going to write down the name of the record because I spaced it. It's Eye on You.
Eye on You.
Ah, I did have it right. Eye on You. Solo Neal Schon making its debut ever on the radio here.
That's it.
Never been on. K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna. 2 big debuts today on the show. We have one Journey tune we're going to throw down because it's past the workforce afternoon, and we do need to wrap this up. We can't keep Neal here all this time. We'll play one Journey tune, and then we're going to come back, and we can hear one more from the Eye on You. Is that possible?
Yeah, we're going to play, there's a lot of island songs on this record as well, the instrumental record, and there's a lot of acoustic stuff, and this is a real pretty song that just, you know, when I wrote it about my father. He passed away years back, and he was a tenor sax player. And so I wrote a song for him, and it reminds me of the ocean. You know, the whole thing is just, you get a big scenic view of sitting out in a boat in the middle of the ocean and just kind of moving around with the giant waves. And I used a synthesizer on a guitar in the end solo to where it actually sounds like a saxophone to emulate him a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a good one. That'll be and that's a nice theme with the ocean and stuff for Hawaii. We'll drop in Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin'. We'll get that song, and that'll be our finale here on K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna, where we have Neal Schon of Journey in the studio. Journey, classic Journey. Neal laughing along to his own tune here on K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna. Good to hear that again, huh?
Have you seen the video to this?
I have not.
Oh, you guys got to take a look at it. They put out this DVD of all our really, you know, terrible videos.
The real early kind.
Last year, and this one pretty much takes the cake.
To have you describe it that way, what is that collection called? If we want to look for that.
You know what? I have no idea because I don't own one.
But it's like a DVD compilation.
It's a DVD compilation, yeah.
It's Neal Schon of Journey in the studio here on K-Poi 105.9, The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock. He's our exclusive guest on the Workforce Afternoon, and he has been the man today. This is our way of surprising you and giving you a little treat instead of playing a pre-taped thing from last week. We thought it'd be a lot cooler to do this, and I think it was, for sure. We have this tune queued up. We went through and figured out the one to end on here from the Eye on You record.
Yeah, this is called Father. And there's a few songs on the record that are real smooth like this that completely, I think, fits with your scenery and the whole vibe here. And so enjoy it.
This is one dedicated to your pop? Or
Yeah.
Nice. Neal, I really do appreciate you coming down. Thank you for being my guest in the studio.
Thanks, Dave. You're great.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a thrill. I look forward to welcoming you back with Soul Circus as well.
Okay, I'll give you $20 in about 5 minutes.
This is Father. K-Boy 1059, solo Neal Schon.
Neil Young. Oh, no! Aloha, this is Neal Schon from Journey, and your radio is tuned to a guy who's really worth listening to, my buddy Dave Lawrence, on K-Poi 1059, the Big Kahuna.